Hey, what is up, peeps? Coming to you live on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon slash evening, depending on where you're located. For me, it's actually only 3 p.m. For you East Coasters, excuse me, it is 5 p.m. But what we're going to be doing today, placing some bets, talking about positive EV betting, talking about profitable betting strategies, betting ways to make money betting on sports, essentially. Pretty easy, pretty simple, as simple as that. I will say, for those of you who are tuning in, I'll give it a couple minutes. I guess I can share my screen as I'm kind of just messing around to officially get started, give people time to join. Talked about this at the top of a lot of these live streams that I've been doing, but a lot of I've gotten some feedback just saying to wait a little bit before you start the live stream or before you actually start getting into it, because people aren't able to join the literal second that you start streaming, which is fair, which I understand. So I will, I'll get started. But yeah, for those of you who have joined, I'm sure everybody that is watching these is signed up for every sportsbook. Let me zoom in a little bit. But if you haven't signed up, if there's any sportsbook that you haven't signed up with, I definitely recommend doing so. It's really, really important to be signed up for every book. So I would just take a look at whatever state you're in, the betting landscape, and see if there's a book that you're not signed up with. One reason why. Yes, all of the plays, APA, on the podcast are one unit, which I appreciate you mentioning that. The podcast and that me and Parlay Doc do, me, Jedi Modai, Andrew Kim, aka the Parlay Doc, do every week. We come out, we like preview the games, the week's best games. So for this week, it's kind of a gross slate. I was looking at it. We like tried to come up with the 3 to 5 best games, but it was rough. Maybe like the London one, even though that game's going to be terrible just because it's played in London. Like the primetime games aren't horrible. Like the Ravens Bengals is a good primetime game. Chiefs Raiders will be fun just because it's the Chiefs. Cowboys Rams honestly isn't that horrible, but regardless, for those of you who haven't tuned into the podcast, I'd appreciate it. It's available any podcast platform. I'll get to your question in just a sec. Sweat the Bet presented by OddsJam. We give out 3 best bets. Each one of those bets we would recommend putting a unit on. Anyway, so Carson, how we doing? I really like your first name. It was because of Carson Wentz, who I now hate, but I still like the name. So Kelly Multiplier, I keep it at 0.5. Anything that is 0.5 and below, I think is fine. I would not recommend putting it anything above this number, because then you're just betting too much of your bankroll over the course of a day if you keep it at 1. And I've kind of messed around with mine. Like when I first started betting, when I didn't really know what I was doing, I had it at 1. And then I learned about unit sizing. I set it at 0.5. And then for like the Discord, when Alex and I are giving out picks, my unit sizes ended up being like consistently higher than his. So I put it down to 0.25 to have a more consistent unit size. And then I just increased a unit for me. So then I upped it back to 0.5, which is where it sits now. Anything depends how risk averse you are. Like if this number is at 0.25, you're putting less money on it. This number is at 1, you're putting more money on it. Anything above 1, I think, is too high. Anything that is below 0.5, I think, depends on your risk tolerance and how comfortable you are risking over a certain amount on given bets. But like general best practices for sports betting is you shouldn't bet above 5% on one given play, and you should only bet 5% a rare amount of times. It shouldn't be like a daily thing where you're just sending out 5-unit McSlams, which I used to do. So I'm not judging. I used to do that, but that's not best practices. So I keep it at 0.5, long-winded way of answering that. So yeah, if you have any questions, put it in the chat. Happy to help out. Happy to answer questions. If not, let's get into betting. So I will say, before we get started, I did lock in a couple anytime touchdown score best bets for the game tomorrow. There's 2 that I really liked. I put it out in the YouTube video. So if you want, I would appreciate if you watch that just to help. There's the OddsJam props app just to help juice those numbers. But since you guys are watching this, I appreciate you. Hey, Brian. So the two that I really liked are, where'd he go? I could just control F. Portland Sutton is really, really good. So if you can get him at +1, so it's been bet down. I got it at +159, and then it was at like Caesars had it at +155. Now it's only on Fox Bet. But he's my favorite player in the whole game to score a touchdown. Couple reasons why. Number one, he's as bad as the Broncos offense has been. He's been their most consistent receiver. He's had over 50 yards in every single game. He's had 5+ receptions in 3 of 4 games. The only game he didn't was week 1 when he had 4 receptions. He just scored his first touchdown last week. And we've seen with Russ, his receivers, like touchdowns come in bunches, right? Like you remember that double-digit season randomly we had with Jimmy Graham, which was wild. We've seen that a ton with DK Metcalf. So him getting his first one, I think, is good. Also, on the flip side, the Colts defense is the 27th ranked defense in the entire NFL in terms of against the pass, in terms of specifically pass defense. And more importantly, they are the literal worst team in the NFL at guarding opposing teams' number 1 receivers. They're literally 32nd at guarding number 1 receivers. So that would be Sutton. A lot of value there. The next one, admittedly, I don't like as much is Nyheim Hines. So it's actually been bet. It's actually become more favorable. Actually, so that's surprising. It's actually been, I'm fumbling around the words. When I recorded this, the best odds you could get was DraftKings at +165. Now you can get Fox Bet at +200 or FanDuel at +190. I'm surprised that it's gone the opposite way since Jonathan Taylor has been ruled out. I wonder if it's because their other running back, I think his name was Dion. No, this is about where it's been. People are just fading the Colts. So I like Nyheim Hines regardless. The reason why, so he's only played in 1 game since Jonathan Taylor has been on the Colts without Jonathan Taylor. So obviously, I hate FanDuel so much. I complain this on every live stream. I just want to use your app. Stop making it so difficult. Anyways, I'll stop complaining. In the 1 game that Jonathan Taylor has missed since he was drafted, Nyheim Hines had 10 carries and he had 10 targets, 20 total touches. That's a lot. He won't get that in games where Jonathan Taylor's out. So I think he is the best. I think he is the best bet to score. Nyheim Hines is. Let me just move 1 second. On the Colts, I don't like any of their receivers because I don't trust Matt Ryan. And like their tight ends, like this one, Mo Alley Cox under, I think is pretty good because their tight ends are just so. There you go. Now it's finally working. Are just so hit or miss. Like 1 week it was Jordan Mason. What was that guy's name? Jelani Woods. Jordan Mason is someone else. 1 week it was Jelani Woods. 1 week it was Mo Alley Cox. We never really know who it's going to be. There you go. All right, so I'm going to put a half unit. So Nyheim Hines and Cortland Sutton, 2 half-unit plays for anytime touchdowns. Yeah, I can check this one. I have not seen that or heard that before. But if you can like send an example, I can send it to the engineering team and have them check it out. But I do like this Mo Alley Cox one, regardless, to Brian, to answer your question. And I guess since we've had some more people join now, a couple things that I mentioned at the top. Number one, it's really important to be signed up for every sportsbook available in your state. So whatever state you're in, I would just check out the betting landscape. Like if you're in me in Colorado, you have a zillion sportsbooks you can sign up with. If you're in other states, like Kansas just opened, like I think Oregon I think you can only use DraftKings, but just get an idea of what the betting landscape is for your state, and then sign up for any sportsbooks that you haven't signed up with. It's really, really important. The next thing that I talked about, and this is a shameless plug, someone asked about the podcast. We record it every week, and I just clicked. We record it every week, week 5, NFL Bets, recording actually tonight. So if you have any questions, you can send us an email. You can either hit me up on Twitter at Jedi Modai, or you can hit up Andrew on Twitter at ParlayDoc, or you can email us sweatthebetoj@gmail.com if you have any questions you want us to answer. So anyways, let's start placing some bets. So I'll talk about stuff that I've already locked in. There was one player prop that I really, really liked. Let's see if it's still here. I don't need it. Whatever. It was. They took it away. It was. Although I don't see any. There are some player props. There's a lot of plays here. Good Lord. They changed the odds. Let me see if I can. Maybe it's still. We can still find a plus EV play on it. It was. And actually, I can also talk about the screen. This screen is awesome. We just launched it. It's brand new. Pulls up the best odds for every sportsbook on an easy to digest screen, and you can like move stuff around, which is cool. So if you want to move books around, you can do that. This is really cool. A really easy way to bet like totals, spreads, and player props when the numbers are different across the board. But I wanted to look at receiving yards. So there are two actually. I want to look at receiving yards and receptions specifically for Cortland Sutton. I locked in a positive EV play on Cortland Sutton. They must have changed it on typical. They only let me get $10 on it. It was really nice of them. But I got him over 4.5 receptions. But let's see what his receiving yards is at. See if we can find value. So it looks like the Sharp Books Pinnacle has it at 64.5. That's the only Sharp book that's pricing it. So actually there is no value on his player prop over. If anything, there's value on the under 66.5 on Caesars because like Pin prices it at 64. That's 2 yards higher, but I'm going to sit that one out. And then we wanted to look at receptions as well. Player receptions. I found it. Let's see what his is at. Cortland Sutton. Looks like it hasn't updated yet. Let me just refresh this. So we're looking at player receptions, Cortland Sutton. So yeah, the odds changed, unfortunately, I got it on Tipico. Yeah, they changed it. Pin has it at minus 157. Yeah, it's no value at 139 on BetRivers. So that one's tough. But for those of you that have Prize Picks, I would take his over 5 on Prize Picks. I think that's really good. Pin prices the 4.5 at minus 157. So if they heavily favor the over. So if it lands on exactly 5, then you just end up pushing that. So it's not horrible. But I think this is really, really good Prize Picks. If I could use Prize Picks in my state, I would. That's a really good one. But anyways, let's go back. So let's see. And I guess you guys let me know. Do you want to bet college? Do you want to bet NFL? Do you want to bet player props? Let me know what you're looking for, and I'll look into it. If not, I can just go to the recommended filters and just like see what we have. But yeah, let me know in the comments. Anything on Prize Picks or underdogs? Okay, that's what we did talk about, the Prize Picks one. I can see if there's anything specific to Prize Picks or underdog. I'm guessing we're still probably going to have to wait a little bit for all the sport. Well, do you have Thrive? Because if you have Thrive, that is another option. But yeah, not anything on Prize Picks or underdog right now on the positive EV page. I can go through the OddsJam screen a little more and see if I can find anything. But definitely the one I like a lot is this the Cortland Sutton. Nyheim Hines is interesting. For whatever reason, Prize Picks doesn't offer that. But yeah, I mean, there's no value here, so never mind. Yeah, nothing on receptions, but if something we can go back. If something pops up, we can see. Actually, no, there actually were a couple. I'll go through it now because no one has said anything else. So you are getting the preferential treatment. Let me just take a simple. So in terms of NHL preseason, I'll look for NHL preseason. I didn't see anything on there. Bet365, I don't think I can use in my state, but I can check. And this is my bread and butter. This is definitely what I can give you. But I'll start with Prize Picks because this is where I started. So Cortland Sutton receptions was 1. Russell Wilson under passing yards on underdog. Oh, I actually legitimately thought you were serious. Like I don't shame or judge. I don't kink shame what people want to bet. But so Russell Wilson, I think this is a really good middle on his passing yards. So take the over on Prize Picks, take the under on underdog. I mean, like every other book has it in between these two numbers, right? Like all the onshore books, including Pinnacle, like the sharp ones. So I would think this is a really good opportunity to middle. I would take the over, price picks the underdog. And then for Matt Ryan, specifically the under, they price it at 233. Every other book is giving it to you at 230 or 231, like below this number. So those are some good ones as well. Receiving yards, I don't think there was any, but I can go back and check, and then I'll look for some other stuff. Let's see what we got here. So this is just a late update. Yeah, so is this. Nothing on Melvin Gordon. Ashton Dulin under isn't horrible. Yeah, I think this is actually really good. Ashton Dulin under on underdog. They're offering it at 14.5. Every book is offering it lower, including Pinnacle, at 12.5. For a number as low as 14.5, 2 yards is a big deal. There's a very real chance he just doesn't have any receptions. We can also look at how he's doing in terms of, actually, he's been doing better than I thought. If you go to the OddsJam Props app, available on any iOS store, like Apple, iPhone, iPad, desktop, whatever, he actually has been doing better than this, but the Broncos have a really good pass defense. I think they're like 9th best passing defense in the entire NFL. So I think this one's a pretty good under. Ashton Dulin, receiving yards. Mo Alley Cox, honestly, not a bad over. Sorry to fade someone, Brian. Not a bad over, 17.5, just because you can see like all the other books, including Pinnacle, price it higher. But Pinnacle has it like more likely to go under. I'd probably sit out Mo Alley Cox. If anything, this is a great under on FanDuel, which actually I might take. I'm actually going to take that. I'm going to lock this one in. So there's a player prop. Mo Alley Cox under 20.5 receiving yards for tomorrow. I'm just going to put half a unit on this one. That's a good play. This is why the screen is so helpful. That's a great play. Yeah, that is true. VCU's basketball finest. That is true. So yeah, hopefully Carson, that was helpful with the prize picks and stuff. And Don, we got a player prop for you. Mo Alley Cox under 20.5 receiving yards. I mean, while I'm here, might as well go through, see what else we got. Yep, I am. I'm riding with you. Paris Campbell, I wanted to look at because he is dreadful. If you're going to look at how he's done this year, somehow he's gone over in 2 of the 4 games with the goose in there. Yeah, he's awful. This is another under that I think could be good. Like Pinnacle prices it at. Never mind. I thought Pinnacle had it lower. Never mind. I'm sitting out this under. Let's see what else we got. Naheem Hines over, I do like for handicapping purposes, but I'm not going to touch it. Alec Pierce. No, nothing there. Jerry Jeudy. Nothing here. And then Cortland Sutton. Yeah, no, I mean, Thrive. If you have Thrive, take his over 63.5. But that's all we got for that play. So let's see what we have for player props. There were a couple here that I liked that I hadn't locked in yet because I just hadn't had any time. So this one actually did lock in on. I locked this in on a YouTube video. Russell Wilson over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I got it at like plus 129, which is a pretty awesome play. Still plus EV at plus 115 PointsBet Typico. If you're going to take this one, put a half unit on it. Not a massive play. I do like this one because of how bad the Colts passing defense is. Darrell Henderson. Let's look at this one. It hurts for handicapping purposes because wrong button. Because he's been so hit or miss in terms of like his playing time. I guess looks like they don't have plays up yet for Sunday. That's all right. He's been so hit or miss in terms of playing time with Cam Akers, but like just look at the value here. Like minus 101, DraftKings is favoring the over, Pinnacle is favoring the over, PlayUp is favoring the over. Let's view the event page for this one, see where other books price it at. We're looking at Henderson. So they all price it at 32.5, but that's a pretty good one. I'm going to lock this one in. And I will say Caesars seems to have the worst pricing, worst meaning worst for them, best for us in terms of player props. I've seen a lot of valuable, really, really good player props specifically on Caesars. So I'm looking at Henderson. That one hurts, I admit, also because the Cowboys defense has been so good. But maybe that means that the Rams are finally going to learn that they have to run it and can't keep passing it. So just a half unit play. Dale Henderson over 32.5 rushing yards. This is the second player prop bet that I've locked in. The first one being Mo Alley Cox under receiving yards. So let's see what else we got here. Alec Pierce over. So I didn't think that there was any value there. Let's see. No, I'm going to sit this one out. And the reason why, so we're getting it at minus 101, right? And this is hopefully helpful for people. If you have any questions, let me know. BetMGM, FanDuel, have it at even money, minus 115 each way. DraftKings favors the over, so that's a point in its favor. Thrive, we can ignore. Tipico, even money. Bet Rivers, a little, like favoring the over a little bit. But the kicker here, Pinnacle, only has the under as the more likely scenario, ever so slightly, but they're favoring the under. So that's why I'm sitting this one out. The EV percent, to answer your question, Alex, I don't mind as much if it's a lower EV percent, if it's still a good play. Let's look at this Russell Wilson one. This might be a good play. Maybe we could lock this one in. I did show some slips. One of the biggest slip scandals in just history. Let's see. So this one with even lower EV percent, this one's really good. I like this one a lot. I am locking this one in for another half unit play. Same reason why. Getting it at minus 103. BetMGM, DraftKings, BetOnline, Pinnacle. All of those books are favoring the over as the more likely scenario. No big line, just above minus 103, still plus EV, and we can get it at minus 103, significantly different than every other book. So I'm going to lock this one in for tomorrow. So I need to go to football, not NCAF. So this is accurate. Punch quote, very accurate. I used to care a lot about the width. I will say, I'll admit, I cared a lot about the width, and I cared a lot about the EV percent when I first started. I know more now than I used to know. So this is accurate. You care more about what the other books are pricing it, and what the sharp books are pricing it, than you care about the width and the EV percent. That stuff's important, of course. You shouldn't just ignore it. But punch quote, is that your first or last name? Just kidding. Is right. Sorry. So this is the third player prop. So, all right. So we got 3 player props in. To answer this question, Alex, so basically, Jeremy, I'll answer this one in a second. The reason why you don't see as many high EV percent plays is with the new formula being a weighted average. You don't see as aggressive percents just because we're taking a weighted average of a bunch of different sharp books instead of just Pinnacle, which is what we used to do. So the plays that are positive EV are more valuable, but you see lower percents. But it's a good point. Not really. I mean, I will say alternate markets and player props, I won't put more than a unit on. There are certain money lines, spreads, and totals that I will put above a unit if I'm really confident in it. Money line specifically, I would say if I could find a valuable money line play, I'll put up to 2 units on it. Like I found a plus. Oh, it's also about volume as well. To answer your question, it's also about volume. But I put 2 units on the Denver Broncos money line tomorrow. I got it at a plus EV play. I'm not sure what it's at now. If you want to check the money line odds, I got it. I forget what number I got it at, but like I love the Broncos tomorrow. Minus 165 on DraftKings is pretty good. Like no book. Let's see. Yeah. I really like the Broncos on this one. Look at all the other sharp books. Minus 173, minus 175, minus 185. And like even like circa minus 186, minus 180, minus 185. Like I really like this. I put 2 units on the Broncos money line. Long story short, money line is probably where I'll put the most value on a play, or money, I should say, on a play, assuming there's value. Like I'm not just going to lock in a play because I like it, but like I'll put the most on a money line. I'm just reading all the comments. So to answer your question, probably money line, but in other certain ones like player props, alternate markets, I probably won't put more than a unit on. Whereas a spread and total, I sometimes will. I'll lock in on Monday NFL bets for the following Sunday. Doesn't depend on the EV percent. If it's a good play, it's a good play. Like if you go to the OddsJam YouTube channel, you'll see a bunch of early videos from me and Alex. So if there's a look ahead line that's plus EV, I'll take it. 1 sec. So I guess my question here is, do you mean like the feed from Pinnacle to OddsJam is delayed? Or are you saying like the odds are correct, but Pinnacle will have it at minus 120 and every other book will have it at like plus 100? If anything, I would say Pinnacle is probably the most up to date, if that's the case, if they're the one outlier. But with that said, if they are the one outlier, then I'll probably avoid that bet. If like I only like to take stuff that's like a huge outlier amongst all the books, not just Pin. I personally I've been hit or miss. Let's see. Weeks 1 and 2 of the NFL season were phenomenal. Weeks 3 and 4 weren't as good. Primetime games went really well. So I've kind of been hit or miss. Like Monday night was I got a plus EV play on the Rams money line that ended up beating the closing line. Rams lost, so I lost that one. Player props went well on Monday night, but Thursday night was great. The Bengals game was awesome. The previous Monday night was great. The Cowboys, and the previous Sunday night, which was that the Broncos? If that was the Broncos one, that one sucked. No, okay, so it was the past couple primetime games have been good. But yeah, so let's see what else we got here. Let me turn the recommended filters on, so I don't have to do as much work. Same, good to know. Me too. If you're not, you can feel free to ask me any questions. The Giants plus 5, I like. Just look at the outlier here. Plus 160 on BetMGM. All the other books, plus 136, plus 143, plus 142. You're selling some points here, obviously. You're selling some points here, obviously, with the plus 5. I think it's like an 8.5 point spread. I like it. I mean, like the Packers just got taken into OT by the guy's name is Bailey Zappi. That sounds like a made-up name that someone used to make fun of someone's name. Bailey Zappi sounds like a made-up name. So yeah, Daniel Jones, like it's also the London game. Like London games are notoriously wacky. So like I would like to put, I think it's telling me to put 120 on this one. I would love to put a unit on it. BetMGM won't accept it. They let me put $12.38. So for those of you at home, I would maybe put a unit on this one. Giants plus 6. I like it. I think they'll probably keep it close. Like they can run the ball. The Packers, if there's one thing that they struggle with, it's defending the run. Sorry, I was looking at something else. Lost my train of thought. Yeah, okay. This is a good idea. We've had this request before. I can reach out and see what the engineers can do. It's a good idea because like the EV percent matters what it closes at. So that's a good point. That's funny because I've been getting killed on tennis. I think tennis is the one, if you want to look at my bet tracker, tennis is one of the sports which I'm negative on. If it loads. It's not a ton, minus 300, but like soccer, tennis, and hockey, not good. Units, I can show, whoops. So let's see. For my 4 sharp bets I do weekly, I'm up about 2.3 units. I bet a unit on each one. I wasn't able to do it last week because I had to fly home for a wedding, but the first 2 weeks went really well. Went up, it was like 4.2 units. The week 3 was bad. The 49ers just won that stupid game. Everything would be different, but they didn't. That was really annoying. So I'm up 2 on my 4 sharp bets. The sweat the bets, which is what we do on the podcast, which I mentioned. I'm 7-3-2. We don't track units specifically with our sweat the bets. We just track wins and losses. What I will say is most of the bets we place are between minus 110 and minus 120. So 7-3-2. That's probably up 2 units, I would say. Underdogs has been horrible, 4-8 with underdogs. I put a half unit on each one. I track the odds. So like in terms of wins and losses, or excuse me, in terms of net loss is not horrible, because the beauty of betting on money line underdogs is you don't have to win 50% of the time. And let's see. Survivor pick, obviously this is different, still live on Survivor. So I don't have the specific numbers for you, but hopefully that was helpful. I will say I've been getting smoked with college football. So if you look at my dashboard, thank you. Who is this? Oh, that's funny. If you look at my profit by sport, it's lower, but I have been getting smoked on college football. So the reason why this is lower a little bit is because of college football. It's literally on any podcast platform. So it's on Apple at Sweat the Bet presented by OddsJam. It's on Spotify presented by Sweat the OddsJam. We come up with the episode comes out every Tuesday every Tuesday night or Wednesday night. So we're recording this tonight. So this next episode will come out tonight, and you'll have it in your feed tonight or tomorrow morning. But yeah, any podcast platform. Yeah, this is that's correct. Total with OddsJam. Every sport. Baseball had a rough stretch of the summer. Kind of been alternating ever since. But yeah, this is through all bets. But college football has really been hammering me. But seriously, who is this? Who is OddsJam Shorts? I want to know. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, maybe pins delayed. More often than not, they're first. So if pins is showing this, my guess is the books will catch up. But I don't know. We can check Bet365. I don't use Bet365. I don't even know if I have it filtered out. I do. So I'll just unfilter it for you specifically because you're an OG. And if anybody else has Bet365, there you go. And then I'll probably hop off because I gotta do some stuff. But let's see. So I'll take off the recommended filters and let's see what we got here. We're just waiting for it to load. So this reminds me of awkward work meetings where before the meeting starts. There we go. Wow, there's a ton on here. Let me see which one. Let me see. I shouldn't have. It's just such a habit. Clicking refresh. I should not have done that. I don't know why it's taking so slow. I'm wondering if the engineers are probably pushing an update. I would guess. All right. Let's see what we got here. There's a lot on Bet365. Holy crap. There you go, Brian. Tons on Bet365. So the top one, this is a great play. Over in Toledo versus Northern Illinois. Oh, hopefully, I don't know if by today you meant for games today or if you meant by just plays currently. So I can do both. This is an awesome play. Bet this one. Telling you to put 2 units. I probably do 1.5 units. I just round down a little bit. 2 units on a total is a little scary, but this is an awesome play. DraftKings -130, Bet Rivers -120, Pin -124, Fox Bet -118. If you open this up in a new tab, you can. The website's just so slow right now. You would pull up every other sports book, but that's an awesome play. But let me look for today specifically, if that's what you were wondering. It just might take a while to load. Not as of right now. We're working on tracking that over the course of time. Historical odds, not currently offered. Alex has a ton of prize picks. So if you want, you're right, Punch Quote, you're right. He did. If you go to the YouTube channel, you'll see. I mentioned some for Thursday night football, but none for tonight. But anyways, I'll go ahead and cut it off here. Locked in some bets. Brian, definitely hammer this Toledo versus Northern Illinois one. It's an awesome play. But that's going to be it for me for today. Thank you guys for joining. Don't forget all the stuff I mentioned. Sign up for every sportsbook in your state. Sign up or subscribe to the OddsJam YouTube channel. Check out the new OddsJam screen page. It's awesome. And then check out the Sweat the Bet podcast. Drops every Tuesday or Wednesday night. But that's it. So again, thank you guys for watching, and have a good one.